What to stop doing if you want to find love. In this video, I'm revealing the mindsets and habits that might be sabotaging you from finding the love that you want. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. The path to finding lasting love is filled with misconceptions thanks to movies and mainstream media. All we really get are misrepresentations of what love is, but no one ever talks about what it takes to have a lasting relationship and the stumbling blocks that could get in your way. Instead, we are just filled with these false depictions of relationships that would never last in the real world. Like Love Actually is one of my favorite movies of all time. But when I really sat and thought about it, and when you break down each couple, you realize that most of them would not last, except maybe that married couple where the guy almost had an affair, or he did have an affair. It's all unrealistic. And that's how it is in the majority of the movies that women usually swoon over. The point is, no one talks about the important stuff. Instead, we fill our minds with what we think love is supposed to look like. Nobody shines a mirror on us and tells us how we need to be, what behaviors and mindsets we need to change in order to get to a place where we can recognize true love and have a loving, fulfilling relationship that actually lasts. And in this video, I'm gonna break it all down for you, so make sure you watch until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a like. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you get notified when I post new videos. And be sure to join the A New Mode mailing list. It is where we share our best content. It's delivered straight to your inbox every day. You can subscribe at anewmode.com/subscribe and follow me on Instagram at anewmode. These are the 6 things you need to stop doing if you want to find true love. In this video, I am going to just be completely raw, completely honest. It might be a little hard to hear at times, but trust me, it's really important. Number 1, stop being so needy. There is no faster way to repel a man than with neediness. Neediness is not the same as needing a man. Neediness is I need you in order to feel good about myself. And if you don't behave in a certain way or do things or say certain things, then I'm just gonna fall apart. I'm basically going to suck the life right out of you in order to fill my emotional void. That's what neediness is. Neediness is a mindset more than a set of behaviors. The mindset is what contributes to those behaviors, and that's when you get those classic needy girl behaviors that we all know so well. A lot of women confuse a man's aversion to neediness as a man's aversion to commitment. But the fact is, most men are not commitment phobes. Most men are just scared of being sucked into a relationship with a woman who is so needy and sucks the life right out of him. Every guy has that one friend who can't go out and have a guy's night without his girlfriend or his wife texting him every 5 minutes, needing an update and needing to talk to him and needing to know exactly where he is and what he's doing at all times because she's so insecure. She can't handle that he's out and away from her, and she just can't feel secure enough to know that nothing bad is gonna happen. But men are not averse to commitment. A man will happily enter into a committed relationship with a woman who sees and appreciates him for the man that he is. Conversely, a man will run far away from a woman who sees him as a means to feel good about herself. A guy wants to feel chosen by a woman that he had to earn. He doesn't want to feel like he's filling some slot that any other guy with a pulse could fill. If he feels like you need him just because you want a man, you want a boyfriend, you want to settle down because that's just something that you feel that you need in order to have self-esteem or a sense of worth, then he is just going to be repelled from you. He won't necessarily know why, because baby, you're a great girl, you check all the boxes, but something in him is telling him that he needs to get away. Neediness usually stems from a lack of self-esteem or self-worth. You feel a void within, and you feel like the way to fill that void is to be in a relationship. So you seek out a relationship at all costs. But if you are unhappy not in a relationship, you'll be unhappy in it. Happiness doesn't come from men, it comes from within. That's a really important thing to realize. The best thing that you can do before being in a relationship is to work on the relationship you have with yourself. Work on finding ways to make yourself feel good so you're not relying on other people to fill your self-esteem tank for you. And that leads me to number 2. Stop looking for love and learn to love yourself. If you don't already love yourself, you will never truly believe that someone else can love you. There's that really famous quote from Groucho Marx that says something like, "I would never want to be a part of a club that would have me as a member." And it's funny and humorous, but sadly, a lot of women apply this logic to their own love lives. Like, if a guy loves me, and really cares about me, there must be something wrong with him. Like, I can't be with someone like that. And the only guys that I'm really drawn to and really attracted to are the guys that don't want to date me, or the guys that ghost me, or the guys that just seem totally indifferent to me. Like, those are the high value guys. The guys that are totally head over heels in love with me, there must be something wrong with them, because why would they want me? Again, this isn't conscious. This isn't something you're consciously thinking, but if that's how you feel about yourself on the subconscious level, that's what's going to happen. It's going to manifest as you being completely unattracted to the guys that show interest in you and only want the guys who don't want you. And this was highly requested. I know you guys want me to make a video about why we want the guys who don't want us, and that is coming, but this is a key component of that. This is the real psychology behind it. If you don't truly like or love yourself, you will never be able to accept that someone else could like or love you. The number one way to attract love is to make yourself into a vessel that can receive it. And that means that you are already in touch with your own sense of worth and your own sense of lovability. If you don't value yourself, you will go for someone who doesn't value you, because deep down, that's how you feel about yourself. And what do I always tell you guys? The subconscious mind is always looking to prove itself right. So if deep down you feel like you're not valuable, those are the kinds of guys that you're gonna go after. The guys who are gonna reject you, or the guys who just aren't gonna value you. And in a way, that feels good because it's validating. It's validating the way that you already feel about yourself. And the cycle will repeat until you really get in there and do some work to undo that wiring. Another important relationship concept to keep in mind is that like attracts like. So if you are emotionally unavailable, then you will attract guys who are emotionally unavailable. Now, you can want to be in a relationship and pursue a relationship and still be emotionally unavailable. So you're afraid to get hurt. You kind of have a belief that all guys are going to hurt you. So you put up these walls and you date guys who are emotionally unavailable, who are most likely to leave you and hurt you, and thus validating the way that you already feel about yourself. See how this works? It's really important to look in the mirror, or you don't even have to look in the mirror. You can just sit with yourself and ask, would I want to date me? And really think about that. If you want a confident, secure, emotionally healthy, high value guy, then you need to be that girl. Because otherwise, why would that guy want to be with someone who isn't like that? Why would that guy want to be with an insecure, needy mess? If that's what you want, then you have to be that. You need to stop focusing so much on the guys that you want to date and how am I going to win him over? How am I going to get this great high quality guy? And you need to focus on how can I make myself into a really high quality woman. As soon as you're in that place where you are your best self and you are embodying all those qualities, you'll notice that that's what you start attracting. This path will be different for everyone, but just really do whatever it is you need to do to get to that strong, emotionally healthy place, because that's what's going to turn your entire love life around. Number 3, stop playing a role. This also ties into the previous point about being emotionally unavailable. So many of us fall into just trying to portray a certain role, or be what we think a certain guy wants, or be the way that women's magazines tell us that we have to be in order to attract a guy. This isn't authentic, and you can't form a genuine connection with somebody who is just playing a role, who's just putting on a facade. This reminds me of a friend of mine. She's just one of those girls who is so got it together. She always looks perfect. She's always poised. She just is so got it together. And there was a long period of time where she was very active on all the dating apps, and she would go out with one guy after the next, and she was going on all these dates. And then then it got whittled down. There were a few guys that she'd been dating consistently for a while, and one by one, they all just fizzled out. Like right at the point where it's either like, okay, we're moving into being in a relationship or nothing's gonna happen, all of them fell flat. And it's because she was never real. She never let the cracks show. And you can't connect with someone like that. Love is about being seen and known and vulnerable. I'm not saying air all your dirty laundry out on the first date. I mean, that's just a way to terrify a guy and scare him away. But you do have to, little by little, and at the same pace as him, peel back some of those layers. That's how you form a genuine connection. You won't get there by hiding and being terrified of being vulnerable. Number 4, stop playing the victim. Now, I'm not shaming you if you do this, because I have also been known to play the victim in my own life and to play the martyr, and it's just something that can just so not easily happen. Sometimes it really feels like the whole world is conspiring against us. The whole world is just made up of obstacles intentionally put in our way to sabotage us from getting what we want. The responsibility isn't on us, it is because of all these elements conspiring against us, and we are just the helpless victims. It feels like every great guy that you meet happens to have a girlfriend, or he's married, and the only guys that are available are jerks, and nothing ever works out for you. Maybe it's because you're just a really successful, independent woman, and guys are scared of that. Or maybe it's because your parents' divorce really messed you up, and now you're just never gonna be able to have a healthy relationship ever again. No matter what, You have a story that you tell yourself that justifies why things haven't worked out for you. Here's the thing. Yes, things happen in our lives that are beyond our control, and some of these things can have a really strong impact on us, but we have the choice whether or not we deal with those things. There are books, there are courses, there are therapists, there are ways to get out of this. And a lot of the time, it's not everyone against us. If everything seems to go wrong in our lives, you have to look at the common denominator. What's the common denominator? It's you. So it's time to look at yourself and see how you might be playing a role in this series of unfortunate events that has happened in your life. The fact is, you get to choose what role you play in your life. Are you the triumphant heroine or are you the tragic victim? And for so many of us, we just naturally fall into the tragic victim role. But you don't have to be that. It's your choice. Remember that. Number 5, stop idolizing your ex. Most of us are unaware of the ways that our past can bleed into our present and completely block us from getting what we want. It could be that you actively are not over your ex and you still think about him, you compare every guy to him. It could be that your ex really did some damage on you and you never really dealt with that pain. And it's like you're not actively thinking about him, but that pain is in there. It's in the recesses of your mind, and things can happen and it can activate that, and it can cause you to push away good things that come into your life and good guys that come into your life. I've been hurt a lot in my previous relationships. I mean, when I was the tragic victim in my own life, things just tended to go wrong for me over and over again. And in looking back, I'm very thankful for that pain because it did serve me well and basically gave me a career. I mean, I created a career out of like writing about my love gone wrong and my love gone right. Fortunately, things did work out for me eventually. But there was a point in time where I realized how much unresolved baggage I had. And it really came to a head when I started dating my now husband. I remember in the beginning, I was nervous, I was scared. I was scared that he would just leave because so many others had just left. And he would say to me, "Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere." And that was so triggering for me. And I'm like, why is that so triggering when he says that? And I realized it reminded me of a different relationship where the guy said that a lot, but he did go somewhere. He did leave eventually, and I was so devastated. That experience was still with me, so I couldn't really let it sink in when my husband said that. I mean, he was my boyfriend at the time, because I was still holding on to that previous relationship, even though these relationships were totally different. You couldn't compare them at all. They say that time heals all wounds, but that's only partially true. Time might make the memories more foggy, but it's not going to heal the pain within you. You have to do the work along with time. So in going back to the early phases of my relationship with my husband, I realized that I had so many faulty beliefs about myself that were wired in from that previous relationship. And it wasn't on my husband to undo that for me. I had to loosen those knots. I had to really look at why I felt that way about myself. Why did I feel like nothing was ever gonna work out for me? Why did I feel like I was unworthy of love? Why did I feel like every guy would leave me? How did that previous relationship contribute to that? How did the relationship before him and before him? How did all of that just get so wired in? And why didn't I ever challenge those beliefs about myself? Once I started asking the hard questions and really doing the work, that's when it all started to break. That's when those knots started to loosen. And that's when I was really able to accept the love that my husband was giving me and have a healthy relationship. So the point is, you have to look at the ways in which your ex might be haunting your current relationship. Or if you're not in a relationship, how the memory of your ex or your exes may be getting in the way of you finding that love that you want. And number 6, stop stressing. You guys hear me say this a lot because this is the number one problem that women have in relationships. They stress and they stress and they stress and they worry. They worry that he's gonna leave, he's gonna ghost, and then what am I gonna do? They solve problems before there are any problems to solve, just so that they're prepared in case the problems arrive. All right, I already have the solution. I already stressed about this and obsessed about this. You have to get your mind under control. You can't let these worried thoughts dominate you. Why? Because when you're worrying and you're stressing, you cannot form a genuine connection with someone else. You are interacting with the worried thoughts in your head, not the person sitting in front of you. You're so worried about protecting your heart and your ego that you can't really go there with the other person. Also, you just transmit a very negative vibe. It doesn't feel good to be around someone who's stressed and anxious. It feels really bad. It's contagious. We feel it, and then we feel on edge. It doesn't feel good. And here's something very important to realize about men. Men move towards what feels good. All a man really wants is a woman who is just easy to be around. It's not easy to be around someone who's constantly worried and stressed. And yes, some people's natures are more wired for that stress and anxiety than others. When it comes to your relationship, and when it comes to all areas of life, I mean, stressing just really doesn't get you anywhere. It just succeeds in driving you crazy. It makes you just spin and spin and spin. It's such a waste of energy. It's really important to just get your mind under control and just not solve problems till you have problems to solve. And above all else, when it comes to relationships, just remember that no matter what happens, you'll be okay. If it works out with this guy, great, wonderful. If not, you'll be fine. Maybe you don't genuinely believe this, but tell it to yourself as many times as you need to until it really starts to sink in, because eventually it will. So those are the habits you need to stop doing if you want to actually find love. What do you think of this list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there anything I missed? If you have any questions, any feedback, leave them in the comment section below. I read them all. I try to respond to everyone, and I love hearing from you guys. For more relationship advice, check out anewmode.com. Subscribe to our newsletter, anewmode.com/subscribe. Follow me on Instagram @anewmode, and I'll see you guys in the next video.